Hey everybody, Arnaldo Woffman here, and today I want to talk to you about the ADJ Ikon profile. Now, within a few minutes of playing around with this guy, I pretty much fell in love with it. And I think after using some of the features that it has to offer, as well as a side-by-side next to the full-size Ikon profile, you're going to wind up falling in love with this guy too. Let's go ahead and take a look. So the very first thing that you'll pretty much notice about the Ikon profile is that it doesn't have interchangeable lenses. Instead, we have a 15 to 30 degree zoom with the focus. Now, I was kind of worried about the quality of the actual sliders. You know, in a full-size ellipsoidal, even a higher quality ellipsoidal, they can be pretty rough. You know, it's kind of hard to adjust them, and this is not my favorite thing in the world to do, honestly. But what I found is that on the Ikon profile, they were very smooth and easy to adjust. You just unscrew these little guys right here, adjust it as you need to, and when you're done, you can screw it in to lock it in. This prevents people from messing with it. That was actually really nice. I really want to point out how small this thing is. And it's got framing shutters. Real nice and thick too. These don't bend easily, so when you're adjusting, you have to worry about snapping them off. But it's really easy to adjust. Again, if you ever use a full-size ellipsoidal with framing shutters, you know that whenever you're doing any kind of GOBO design, these are a must-have. Going even further down, we have of course, we've got the yoke, and it does have there we go, floor standing yoke, or you can hang it from trussing or put it on a stand or whatever the case may be. The Ikon profile, surprisingly enough, is DMX capable. So you do have all sorts of DMX options. You've got, of course, dimming, you can move in and out, shutter, whatever the case may be, but it also has power linking. So all this in a really, really small package. You'll see that ADJ pretty much crammed it in there to be able to get both DMX in and out, as well as power in and out as well. On the top here, we do have also an infrared, the IR option. So you can use Airstream IR, or you can use the remotes, you know, available separately, but you can use that to control the Ikon profile. Me personally, I like the DMX option, so I would go with that. The GOBO, let's go ahead and pull it out here. Now, you get one glass GOBO and then 4 steel GOBOs. The one that's on here is my personal favorite, and that's because I use this one for all my events, so see how that plays out. But it does come stock with it. This is a beautiful pattern, perfect for weddings, for really elegant prom themes, corporate events. This is my one-size-fits-all type of GOBO that everybody really likes. And one of the things that's really unique is that it is a smaller GOBO. Now that smaller GOBO equates to a small surface area. We'll talk about that in a second, but just remember that I mentioned that. Unlike the original Ikon, this does not have a GOBO rotator, so it is static. But replacing the GOBO is really easy. Pop out, swap out your GOBO. It's just held together with a little spring right there. Slide it back in. Pretty easy. Anyone can do it. The ADJ Ikon profile is powered by a 32-watt LED. Whoa, stop the presses. 32 watts? That doesn't sound very bright. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about that real quick. I'm going to try to cram this down in a minute or so. The wattage, it means nothing. From now on, I want you to get wattage just out of your head. Yeah, I don't like that term, because wattage is a consumption or a measurement of power consumption that something uses, whether it's a speaker or light, whatever the case may be. It does not reflect at all on output. That's what lumens are for. So you really want to look at that, okay? It's like, okay, how bright is this? Don't say, oh, it's 10 watts, it's 32 watts. What you're going to find in the next clip, we're going to compare this next to the Ikon. And you know the Ikon's got a much brighter LED or you know, a higher wattage LED. But why are you going to see the results that you're about to see? Well, because this has a smaller surface area. So the Ikon has, you know, the D-size GOBO, right? It's about this big. This has, oops, there we go. This has a much smaller GOBO. So this means smaller surface area. So what that means is that that LED is only focusing through this tiny little GOBO, as opposed to trying to focus to a bigger GOBO. Now, if we were to take this 32-watt LED and put it in the normal size Ikon, well, yeah, it wouldn't be as bright, nowhere near, because you're trying to have that LED fill up that entire GOBO. Whereas by making a smaller GOBO and a smaller fixture and smaller lenses, plus better optics all the way through, it's filling just that tiny area there, which turns into a nice bright image. The Ikon profile comes in white, meaning it's a white LED, it's not color changing. But if you do want to change colors, or if you want to add a little bit something different to your GOBO projection, all you got to do is just push this little button right here. Bam, gel holder. And even though you're using a gel, your LED is still bright enough that it'll cut through that gel with no worries. I recommend using a thinner gel versus the high heat gels because, again, this is not a high heat fixture, so you don't need a really, really heavy duty gel that may kill some of the light. But even though it's not a high heat fixture, please do not put a transparency on here. The way that these things are going and the way the LED technology has been progressing, no, you cannot just put a transparency in there. It will burn through. Again, we're focusing that really, really powerful LED into a tiny little section about this big. You put a transparency in there, you're focusing all that power, all that light into one area, it's going to burn up. Guys, I said this before and I'll say it again, do it the right way. Do steel gobos, or if you want to do the full color, you can use glass, or there are people that do print them onto a special type of plastic that can take high heat. So there's my rant about that one. But forget just regular gobo projection. Look at the size of this. Put this on a tripod slightly loose, and now you can have somebody follow people around. Exactly like a follow spot. This thing is bright enough. You can zoom in and zoom out with it. You can blur the circle a little bit. You can do framing shutters. Why just use it only for a gobo projector? Use it as a follow spot. Make a little bit extra money in, with your event. Just different ways to use the same item to make you more money. All right, so why do I love the Ikon profile so much? Look at it. It's pretty. Look, I'm not wanting to say that every fixture has to be good looking, because if you're doing lighting design the right way, no one's going to look at your fixtures, right? The only time it really matters is if you have everything white and then you've got black moving heads. Okay, well, maybe you want some white moving heads. I get that. But the fixture itself, usually people don't pay attention to. But when it comes to gobo projectors, well, yes, in this case, they very well could. Because what happens if you're not doing a lot of lighting? What happens if you just have a gobo projector on a nice clean stand? Maybe you've got a drape coming down the stand, whatever the case may be. You just want something nice and elegant, and bam, you've got this big projector right there. I mean, the original Ikon isn't that big, but it's still kind of like a weird shape, This one is much more discreet. It's basically a cannon, right? It's more discreet, it's prettier looking. And I think when you have a wedding and maybe you just have your T-PAR system and you're doing a gobo projector, or you put this on your T-PAR system, it just looks a little bit nicer. And the other thing is this right here. This is so important to me, framing shutters. But with this, it opens up to do more than just being able to do, a name on the floor or on the wall. The big important thing is these framing shutters, because now I can do a pattern, like the really pretty patterns that come with it, and just wash the entire walls out. And, I don't want to hit people in the eyes when they're sitting at their tables. So now I'm just going to push this framing shutter in and frame it perfectly so it's above people's heads. Or if I want to hit a square wall perfectly, you can't hit a square wall with a round shape. You just can't. So that's what the framing shutters are for. And DMX, or the IR remote. That's really important, and that's so underrated, because one of the biggest complaints, especially if you point a monogram at the floor, the bride and groom dance underneath it, even though you tell them, hey, dance off to the side. No, they're going to go right underneath it. And now the photographer, every photo they take has like a wedding date stamped on their heads or on their body. So at least I can just turn that off or dim it down. And the photographer is really happy because, hey, the photos weren't ruined by a light pointing halfway on the bride and groom. Or in another example, bride and groom come in. We have this pointed directly at the wall where their sweetheart table is. They sit down after they just did their first dance, and it slowly fades in with their name. Just something really pretty, unique. That's for that DMX control. And the other reason that I love this, it's so affordable. Look, I don't know if you guys have ever bought the old school ellipsoidals. They're not cheap. They're expensive. And you know what's just as expensive? The bulbs. Okay, those bulbs are not free. Those things also cost money, and they suck up power. I dread setting those things up. But this guy here, you just saw, it's bright. It's bright enough that I can replace every single one of my ellipsoidals with this, and I know that I'm going to get just as great of a result. But now I can tell my schools, my corporate clients, my weddings, they're not going to have to pay insane hotel power fees, because I can put several of these on one 20 amp circuit. It's something that I'm so passionate about, because it's making my job easier. It's making setup much easier. I can do an entire large giant ballroom with these and put them in my car. I don't even have to worry about bringing out a van. Think about that. This is absolutely amazing. I'm delighted. You should be delighted. In a nutshell, that's the ADJ Ikon profile. I'm telling you, there's so many great GOBO projectors out there, but this one's just so unique. It's small, it's portable, it's versatile, and it's very, very powerful. And that's what we want. We want to make sure that we shine brighter than the rest. But on the real, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, if you have any questions about this guy right here, leave them down below. Now, next to that, you're going to see the little thumbs up. Click the thumbs up, not the thumbs down. I know who you are. Thumbs up. And hit the subscribe button. And share with your friends, with lighting designers, decorators, anybody you know that's looking for an awesome GOBO projector that's not going to break the bank. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good night, and God bless.